I never thought family could get you worse than a back alley shank. But there I was, staring at the man who'd raised me, as he initialed away the last shred of my goddamn life. "It's just business, son," Dad said, pen scratching like nails on a coffin lid, while Mom nodded along, her pearls choking her like the lies she swallowed. That $390,000 debt? It wasn't my brother's fuck-up alone. It was the poison I'd choked down for him since we were teens, covering his tracks on that armed robbery he'd pinned on me, the one that stole 5 years of my youth behind bars. The conference room in our family lawyer's office smelled like stale coffee and regret, the kind that clings to cheap suits and cheaper decisions. It was a Tuesday in late October. The leaves outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of this downtown Chicago high-rise turning the Loop into a bloodbath of rust and rot. I'd driven in from the suburbs that morning, my old Ford pickup rattling like my nerves, figuring this emergency family meeting was about divvying up Grandpa's estate fair and square. After all, I'd been the one holding down the fort these past 2 years, while Dad's construction firm tanked in the post-pandemic slump.
Ides qui pot vacations.
Eating ramen while the crew cashed checks. All for that promised cut, $500K, wired straight to my account. Enough to buy out the family business and finally breathe without the weight of their failures on my chest. Jake, my older brother by 3 years, slouched in the leather chair across from me, his designer loafers propped on the edge of the mahogany table like he owned the place. He looked every bit the golden boy still, tousled blonde hair gelled just so, that Rolex glinting under the fluorescence, the one Dad had gifted him after his big break in real estate. Bullshit. Jake's empire was a house of cards built on shady flips and backroom loans from guys who wouldn't hesitate to break knees for interest. But hey, family overlooks that, right? Or so I'd thought. Mr. Hargrove, the lawyer, a weaselly guy in his 60s with a comb-over that screamed midlife denial, cleared his throat and slid the stack of documents toward us. As per Elias Hawthorne's will, the estate is to be divided equally among his 3 grandchildren, Daniel, here, Jacob, and your sister Emily, who's joining via Zoom from Seattle. Emily's face flickered on the screen, her smile tight, like she knew the storm brewing. She was the smart one, the doctor who'd bailed on the family circus years ago. Smart. Dad leaned forward, his calloused hands, remnants of a life swinging hammers before he got fat on paperwork, flipping to the signature page. "We've made some adjustments."
Dan.
"Practical ones." My gut twisted. "Adjustments? What the hell does that mean?" Mom reached over, her manicured nails tapping my wrist like she was soothing a skittish dog. "Honey, Jake's in a bind. The market's rough. Those developers he partnered with, they folded, left him holding the bag. $390,000 in markers. If he doesn't square it by month's end." She trailed off, eyes darting to Dad, who finished for her. "We use your share to cover it. Keeps the family intact." Elias wouldn't have wanted his blood fighting over scraps. The room went white noise silent, save for the hum of the AC and Jake's smug little chuckle, muffled behind his fist. Emily's Zoom froze for a beat, lag, or horror, before she sputtered, "Dad, that's not. Dan's been carrying us all. This is insane." But insane was the family motto. I'd learned it young, back in the shadow of those Gary, Indiana steel mills where we grew up. Jake was the charmer, the one who talked his way out of juvie after boosting cars at 16.
Me?
I was the fixer,
the fall guy.
Like the night of the corner store heist when we were 19. Jake needed quick cash for some stripper's investment, dragged me along as lookout. One botched grab. A clerk winged by a stray bullet. And suddenly it was my prince on the .38 because I'd handled it after. Take the rap, little bro, he'd whispered in the squad car, slipping me a wad of bills that vanished into Mom's medical fund for her migraines. 5 years in Menard. Paroled early for good behavior. While Jake turned his life around at community college on my ghost-ridden essays. And now this. My share, my ticket out, funneled into his black hole. You're joking, I said, voice flat as Lake Michigan in winter. That's theft. Legal or not? Hargrove adjusted his glasses, avoiding my stare. It's within the executor's discretion, Mr. Hawthorne. Your parents control the disbursement. Jake finally spoke, leaning in with that shark grin.
Small? Danny.
Blood's thicker. I'll pay you back, double. Once I flipped that condo in Evanston. Liar. I'd seen the ledgers he'd accidentally left on the kitchen table last Christmas. Debts to bookies. Not banks. But calling him out? That'd shatter the facade. And in our house, facade was gospel. I stood, chair scraping like a scream. Fuck you all. The words hung there, raw and American as apple pie gone rotten. Mom gasped. Dad's face purpled. But I was already out the door. The elevator dinging like a death knell. Chicago swallowed me whole that afternoon, horns blaring on Michigan Avenue. Wind whipping off the lake like it wanted to flay me alive. I ended up at a dive bar in Wicker Park, nursing a Jameson that, by midnight, back in my cramped apartment above a laundromat in Berwyn, the plan crystallized. Not some half-assed confrontation.
No.
Revenge. Pure and corroding. I'd dismantle them piece by piece, starting with the truth I'd buried deeper than Grandpa's casket. Jake's debt wasn't just bad luck, it was the tip of a syndicate iceberg. Mob ties from his real estate, gigs laundering for the outfit's remnants. And I'd been the patsy once. Never again. That night, I pulled the old shoebox from under my bed, faded Polaroids, a burner phone from the joint, scribbled notes from the inside. The clerk's blood on my hands? Metaphor now. But soon it'd be theirs, figuratively. At least. Or so I told myself as sleep evaded me. The city lights bleeding through the blinds like accusations. The next morning, I called in sick to the firm, first time in 2 years, and hit the public library's computers. VPN masked, digging into Jake's digital footprints. Court filings, property records, whispers on Reddit's r/Chicago scams. By noon, I had a name, Victor Vic Russo, a mid-level enforcer running protection rackets out of a Gold Coast steakhouse. Jake's partner on that Evanston flip? A shell company traced to Vic's nephew. Bingo. I wasn't going to the cops. That'd drag me under too. Reopen the heist file. No. This was personal. I'd feed Vic just enough rope to hang Jake, then watch the news tighten. Step 1, anonymous tip. Burner email to a PI I'd met inside. Guys like Tommy owed me for smuggling smokes past the guards. As the sun dipped, painting my walls arson orange, I hit send. Your boy's skimming. Check the condo books. Attached, a forged ledger snippet.
Jake sig sloppily skannad.
Lies built on truths. His real skim was 20K. But I'd inflated it to 50. Enough to spook Vic without tipping my hand. Revenge tasted like battery acid. But damn if it didn't burn sweet. Little did I know, Jake had his own snakes in the grass, and the first flip was coming faster than a South Side drive-by. The days blurred into a haze of caffeine and cat videos to keep the rage simmering, not boiling over. I showed up at the firm like a ghost, nodding at crew meetings, hammering nails into subfloors that felt like metaphors for my splintered trust. Dad avoided eye contact, barking orders from his trailer office, while Mom texted passive-aggressive Bible verses about forgiveness. Ephesians 4 verse 32.
Danny.
Be kind. Kind? I'd been kind until it carved me hollow.
Jake.
Though he played it cool, dropping by the site unannounced that Friday with takeout from Giordano's. Deep dish oozing cheese like false olive branches. Heard you had a rough week. Bro. Let's bury the hatchet. We ate on the half-framed deck of a McMansion in Naperville, the suburbs sprawling like a bad dream of white picket fences hiding rot. He launched into his pitch smooth as a used car salesman, how he'd restructure the debt. Cut me in on the next flip for 10% equity. Lies dripped from him like sweat on a summer L train. I nodded, chewed slow, letting him think he'd reeled me back. What's the play with Russo? I asked casual, like I gave a shit. His fork paused midair, pie suspended.
Beak.
Just business. Guys connected. Gets things greased. A flicker, fear? Guilt. Crossed his face before the grin snapped back.
Why?
You digging? Curious. Family's all about transparency now, right? I held his gaze. Saw the calculation whirl. Jake was always the actor. I'd been the stagehand, rigging lights while he stole the spotlight. By Sunday, my PI buddy Tommy rang the burner. Your tip hit pay dirt.
Hawthorne.
Russo's boys tossed Jake's office, found discrepancies. Your boys sweating bullets, begging for extensions. Tommy's voice crackled with gravel, a lifer's laugh underscoring it. Oh, you won.
Kid.
What's next? Hold fire. Watch and report. I hung up, adrenaline spiking like snorting lines off a bar top. Phase 2. Isolate the bastard. Emily was Mayan. She'd been radio silent since the meeting, but blood called to blood. I drove to O'Hare that afternoon, her connecting flight from Seattle delayed by lake-effect snow. We met in a Chili's off the access road, the kind of chain joint where dreams go to die amid endless nachos. Her hug was fierce, eyes red-rimmed.
Done?
I'm so sorry. I tried talking sense into them, said I'd cover half for my savings, but Dad shut me down. Called it enabling weakness. She stirred her margarita, salt rim crumbling like our lineage. Emily was the outlier. Med school on scholarships, residency in the Pacific Northwest to escape the toxicity. But she knew the dirt, Jake's juvie record she'd helped expunge. The heist she'd visited me for every conjugal. Tell me everything, I said. And she did. How Mom's migraines were code for Valium benders after Dad's affairs. How Grandpa's will was the only anchor left. Jake's not just in debt.
Done. He's
entangled. I saw emails once from some VR demanding vig on laundered cash. My forged ledger had cracked the door. Now Emily pried it wide. Stick close, I told her. But ghost if it gets hot. She nodded, the doctor in her diagnosing the cancer at our core. Monday brought the first flip. Jake cornered me at the site, bruises blooming under his collar like toxic flowers. What the fuck did you do? He hissed, voice low as the nail guns whine. Vic's goons, courtesy of my tip, had paid a midnight visit, polite shoves, not breaks, but message received. Me? I haven't said shit.
Lie.
And he knew it. His eyes narrowed, that boyish charm curdling to something feral. If this blows back,
Danny.
you're done. Family or not. Threat? From the king of cowards? I laughed, cold and echoing off the studs. Try me. He stormed off, tires squealing on the gravel lot. But the seed was planted, doubt. The great divider. That night, I escalated. Using a spoof number, I texted Vic's nephew from a throwaway app. Hawthorne's flipping on you. Hiding assets in mom's name. Attached, a photoshopped bank statement. My mom's maiden name on a Cayman transfer. Risky, too close to home, but precision was for surgeons like Emily. Revenge was blunt force. Tuesday, Dad called me into the trailer. Face like thunder. Jake's talking crazy, says you're sabotaging him. What's this horseshit? His breath reeked of Pepto and scotch. The firm was hemorrhaging. Crews whispering about shutdowns. Just leveling the field. Pop. I laid it bare then, not all. But enough. The heist. My silence. The years I'd towed the line while Jake pirouette. Dad deflated. Old sins weighing him down. We did what we had to. He was the future. Future's bankrupt. I left him there, slumped over blueprints. The first crack in the paternal armor. By week's end, the noose tightened. Tommy's update. Vic had frozen Jake's accounts, demanding a sit-down at that Gold Coast joint Morton's, all dark wood and aged beef, where deals were sealed in blood and Bordeaux. Jake called me frantic at 2 a.m., voice slurry. Help me.
Done.
They're gonna kill me. Pity flickered, brother. After all, but I quashed it. Handle your mess.
Click.
Morning brought the controversy. A package on my doorstep. No return address.
Inside.
A thumb drive and note in Jake's scrawl. You want truth? Watch. The video was grainy. Time-stamped 5 years back, me. Hooded. Pulling the trigger on that clerk?
No.
It was Jake. Clear as day. The .38 in his grip. Me frozen in the doorway. Doctored? Or the real? Buried deeper than I'd imagined? My hands shook as I smashed the drive under my boot. Twist one. He'd been playing me longer than I knew. But two could scheme. Time to flip the script for real this time. Sleep was a luxury for suckers. So I nursed black coffee in a 24-hour diner off I-94. The kind where truckers nurse grudges and hash browns. The video looped in my skull, Jake's finger on the trigger. My shadow complicit. Was it fake? A deep fake? Maybe. Pieced from security cams and grudge? Or had I rewritten history in my head? The loyal little brother shielding the monster? Either way, it was leverage turned boomerang. And Vic Russo didn't strike me as the type to fact-check before fracturing femurs. Emily texted at dawn. Mom's spiraling, popped a Xanax and call me hysterical. Says Dad's confessing everything to a priest. What's happening? I didn't reply. Let the dominoes teeter. Instead, I geared up, fake beard from a costume shop in Pilsen, Cubs cap pulled low, Glock 19 tucked in my waistband, parole violation be damned, bought off a fence in the joint's alumni network. Not for killing. For presence. Fear was the real equalizer. The sit-down was set for 7 p.m. At Morton's, that temple to excess, where power lunches bled into power plays. I tailed Jake's Beamer from Berwyn, keeping 3 cars back in rush hour snarl. Horns a symphony of urban despair. He valet parked shaky. Thai askew. While I slipped in through the service alley, bribing a busboy with a 50 for a tray and livery. Inside, the air was thick with seared fillets and cigar haze. Sinatra crooning from hidden speakers like a velvet noose. Vic Russo held court in a corner booth, silver fox in his 50s. Pinky ring flashing like a warning shot, flanked by two meat slab associates in Brioni suits. Jake slid in opposite, palms up, voice a whine I could hear from the kitchen pass-through.
Beak.
It's a misunderstanding. The skim? Clerical error. Russo's laugh was wet gravel. Clerical.
Kid?
My guy's got photos. You wiring $75K to some offshore bitch in the Caymans. Your mom's name on it. No less. My plan had landed. Hook and sinker. Jake blanched, stammering denials, while Vic's boys leaned in, shark-like. I timed it then, tray balanced. Compliments of the chef muttered as I accidentally bumped the booth. A glass tumbled, red wine splashing Vic's cuff like arterial spray.
Shit.
Sorry. Sir, I mumbled. Midwestern thick. Eyes down. Russo's hand shot out. Vice on my wrist.
You.
Look at me. Up close. His eyes were dead fish, cold, appraising. Who sent you? Nobody. Just working stiff. But he smelled the lie. Or maybe the fear sweat. One goon hauled me to a back room. The kind for private tastings, door clicking shut like a chambered round. They patted me down rough, Glock found. Wallet rifled. Daniel Hawthorne, the thinner thug read,
Smirking.
Little brothers in deep shit.
Ah.
Vic entered slow, dabbing his cuff with a linen napkin, the gun dangling from his pinky like a toy. Your brother's a rat.
Danny boy.
Skimming to pay off.
What?
Daddy's debts. Wrong tree, but close. I stayed mute, heart hammering bebop. Truth time, partial. Jake's using family money. Inheritance. To cover you. Vic paused. Napkin folding deliberate. Inheritance?
Cute.
But I don't give a fuck about fairy tales. You want to play hero?
Fine.
Deliver him tomorrow, full 390. Plus Vig. Or I start with Mommy Dearest. He slid a photo across, Mom at her bridge club. Oblivious. Pearls gleaming. Leverage swapped like spit in a duel. I nodded. Snatched the pic. Bolted when they laughed me out.
Outside.
Lake wind clawed my face. The city a beast gnawing its own tail. Jake waited in his car. Engine idling. You followed me? What the? Shut up and drive. We peeled out. Silence thick as the fog rolling in from the water. At a deserted lot by the Adler Planetarium, ironic. Stars hidden by light pollution. He finally cracked. They're gonna kill me.
Dan.
You did this. Deserved. I tossed the photo in his lap. Now they got Mom in the crosshairs. Fix it. His face crumpled, first real crack in the facade. I can't. The money's gone, casino in AC. Bad bets. And the video. I faked it, okay, to scare you off. But the heist? That was us.
Yeah.
You took the fall 'cause you were dumb enough to love me. Confession hung there, raw as roadkill. Love? Twisted. Sure. But family. Then we flipped Vic together. I said. The words tasting like surrender. Truce? Or trap? We hashed it overnight in my apartment. Burner calls to fences. Liquidating Jake's Rolex and my tools for seed cash. Scraping $50K by dawn. Emily wired $20 from her emergency fund. Voice breaking on the line. This ends it.
Dan.
No more lies we tell ourselves. The drop was set for a warehouse in Little Village, Our Lady of Guadalupe looming like judgment. Jake and I rolled up in my truck. Duffel heavy. Nerves electric. Vic's crew waited. Shadows in the sodium glow. Handoff smooth. But as the bag zipped shut, Vic's smile widened. Good boys.
Now.
The bonus. Bonus? His goons stepped forward. Not with cash, but cuffs. Hawthorne Brothers. Armed robbery. 2018. Cold case reopened. Courtesy of an anonymous tip. My blood iced. Jake's eyes bulged. Betrayal round 2. His flip on me to save his skin. He'd ratted to the feds, trading the heist for immunity on the skim. Sirens wailed distant, closing fast. I lunged, fist connecting with Jake's jaw, crunch satisfying as shattering glass. You son of a... Vic laughed, holstering his piece. Family. Always entertaining. We scattered, me into the alleys, Jake tackled by badges. But as I vaulted a fence, heart pounding free, the real twist nod, Emily's wire, timed too perfect. Had she played us all, doctoring the scales for her own clean break? The safe house was a shithole motel off Cicero Avenue. The kind where hookers hawked dreams and roaches ruled the roost. I paid cash for a week. Alias John Smith, irony lost on the desk clerk with her yellowed teeth and suspicious squint. Neon buzzed vacancy like a migraine, mirroring the throb in my knuckles from decking Jake. Cops had hauled him off, sirens fading into the night like a bad blues riff. But me?
Ghost. For now.
Adrenaline crash hit hard, shakes. Dry heaves over the porcelain stained with God knows what. I stripped the beard, showered scalding, the water sluicing grime and guilt. Vic's bonus cuffs, Jake's final fuck you, trading my freedom for his. The heist file reopening meant Menard Redix. Maybe life this time if they pinned intent on me. And Emily, her wire. That perfectly timed 20K. Coincidence? Or the sister, who'd always been 10 steps ahead? Cutting ties surgically? I booted the laptop, cheap burner from a pawn in Humboldt Park, and VPN'd into dark web forums. Ex-con boards where snitches got named. By 4 a.m. Hits. Jake's deal cut hours before the drop. Immunity for full confession. Me as the mastermind, him the reluctant wheelman.
Bastard.
But Emily's name flickered in a side thread, her hospital IP pinging a search for statute of limitations. Illinois robbery. Digging? Or distancing? Dawn broke gray. The L train rattling past like judgment on rails. Coffee from a vending machine tasted like regret, but it steadied me. Plan B, expose the whole rotten core. Not to cops, too messy, but to the family firm, the crew, the neighborhood that idolized Jake's charm. Dad's construction biz was teetering, one whiff of syndicate stink, and contracts dried up like the Des Plaines in drought. First call, Tommy the PI. Voice groggy. You in the wind. Hawthorne? News says your bro's singing like a canary. I filled him in sparse. Needed dirt on Emily. Check her flights.
Calls.
Something's off. Cost you extra. And watch your 6, Russo's not done.
Click.
Trust was currency now. And I was overdrawn. By noon, I was mobile again, stolen plates on the truck. Parked blocks away. Drove to the old Gary house. Boarded up since Mom sold it cheap to flip. Backyard fence still sagged where Jake and I buried treasures as kids. Comic books. Stolen smokes. A .22 casing from his first poach. Dug shallow. Unearthed a rusted lockbox. His juvie letters. My forged parole recs. Nostalgia?
Nah.
Evidence. Mom answered her cell on the third ring. Voice a tremolo of tears. Danny, where are you? The police. Save it. Jake ratted. I'm next. A silence stretched, then a sob. Why?
Ma.
The inheritance. Now this. It was for the best, she whispered. Mantra worn thin. Your father. The firm. Jake promised. Promises are shit. I hung. Rage coiling like barbed wire. Next, Dad's office. Slipped in after hours. Ghosting past the night watch like I'd ghosted my conscience. His desk, chaos of bids and bourbon bottles, hit a laptop unlocked. Password his wedding date. Bingo. Emails galore. Jake's pleas for cash. Vic's veiled threats. And twist Mom's replies. Forwarding funds from Elias's trust pre-will. She'd been bankrolling the skim for months, covering her boy's tracks while dooming mine. Screenshot frenzy. Then out, heart slamming as a security light flicked on. Close call. But the files burned in my pocket like absolution. Emily's play crystallized when Tommy texted Cords, her conference in Seattle, canceled. She'd flown back yesterday. Holed up in a loop hotel under a fake name.
Why?
I drove downtown. Traffic a snarl of cabs and cusses. Rain sheeting the windshield like tears unshed. The Palmer House lobby gleamed opulent, crystal chandeliers mocking my mud-caked boots, but I blended. Bellhop pose from YouTube vids. Her room, 1423. Knocked soft. Her voice muffled. Housekeeping? Leave it. I jimmied the lockpick kit from the joint. Old habits, and slipped in. She whirled from the window. Scalpel sharp in scrubs. Eyes wide. Dan? Jesus. Cut the act.
Eminencia.
The wire. The searches. You shopping us out. She deflated onto the bed. Hands trembling. Not like that. I called the feds. Anonymously. About Jake and Vic. Wanted it clean. No family implosion.
Lie?
Her gaze held, doctors steady. The inheritance was the trigger. I saw the will. Knew they'd screw you. Thought turning state's evidence would freeze assets. Protect your share. Noble? Or calculated? And the heist file? Her flinch confirmed. I pulled strings, old med school buddy in the DA's office. To bury it.
Dan.
For all of us. Twist. She wasn't flipping on me, but saving. Or so she claimed. We talked hours, her resentment at being the good one, funding Mom's pills while Jake squandered. Me slaved to Dad's legacy. We're all monsters here, she said, echoing my thoughts. Truce too. Fragile as rice paper. She had access. Hospital psych evals on Vic's nephew. Leverage from a routine checkup. We plotted. Leak the emails to a Sun-Times tip line. Frame it as whistleblower gold. Jake's immunity. Shredded if corruption tangled in. But as we huddled, my phone buzzed. Tommy. Russo's crew hit your mom's. She's okay, shaken, but they left a message. Family pays. The room spun. Emily grabbed her keys. We end this.
Now.
Drive to Berwyn was hell. Sirens everywhere. Rain turning streets to rivers of regret. Mom's bungalow lit warm. But the front door yawned open. Glass shattered like trust. Inside, chaos. Vases toppled. Her huddled in the kitchen. Rosary beads clicking. They wanted the trust papers.
Danny.
Said you'd pay for the stunt. Vic's retaliation. My plant's blooming thorns. Emily triaged her cuts. Mom babbling prayers. While I fortified windows with plywood from the garage. Night fell heavy. The three of us barricaded. A parody of Hearth. What now? Emily whispered. War, I said. But dawn brought the real fracture. Jake bailed on technicality. Pounding the door. Let me in.
Bro.
I flipped for us. All of us. Us. The door creaked open. Gun in hand. And there he stood, bruised. Broken. But eyes gleaming with that old snake oil. Controversy brewed. Forgive the rat. Or pull the trigger on blood. Jake's arrival shattered the fragile peace like a brick through stained glass. He stumbled in, reeking of precinct coffee and desperation. Wrists chafed raw from cuffs that hadn't stuck. Mom rushed him, maternal instinct overriding sense, enveloping him in a hug that smeared blood from her cuts onto his shirt. Emily hung back, arms crossed, her doctor's mask slipping to reveal the sister scorned.
Me?
I kept the Glock low, barrel trained loose on his knee, not lethal, but a promise. Talk, I growled, doors slamming behind him. The bungalow's living room, once a shrine to Norman Rockwell prints and doilies, now looked like a war zone. Lamps tipped, drawers gutted, Vic's goons' bootprints tracking mud like accusations. Jake collapsed onto the sagging couch, head in hands. I didn't rat full.
Dan.
Just enough. Vic's laundering. The shells. Feds grabbed him mid-arrest at the steakhouse. Immunity's conditional. They want the whole chain. His voice cracked. Boyish charm eroded to plea. Including the heist. But I told him it was me solo. You were clean. Bullshit detector pinged red. Emily snorted. And the video? The mastermind angle?
Fake.
All of it.
He met my eyes.
Finally, blue like mine. But muddied. I panicked. Okay? After the warehouse. I thought you'd sold me out to Vic. Doctored it quick on some app. Send it to scare you straight. Mom whimpered from the armchair, clutching her rosary like a lifeline. Boys. Please. God's watching. God's got better things, I snapped. Like why you'd burn me after everything. The air thickened, rain pattering the roof like impatient fingers. Emily broke the standoff, handing Jake a wet cloth for his split lip, professional detachment masking fury.
Timeline, she demanded.
When do you cut the deal? Post-drop. Feds tailed Vic. Saw the exchange. Cornered me in holding. Offered the out if I delivered the family angle. Jake's gaze flicked to Mom. The trust funds. Ma's transfers. They think you're in on the skim. Her gasp was theatrical. Pearls clutched. I was helping. For you. Jacob. The room imploded then. Accusations flying like shrapnel. Mom defending her loans. Emily railing at the hypocrisy. You enabled him while Dan rotted. Jake pleading victim. I was trapped. Me silent. Cataloging the lies. It was our family distilled. Betrayal layered like sedimentary rock. Each stratum deeper. Darker. By midnight, exhaustion forced a ceasefire. Emily bunked in the guest room. Mom medicated into stupor. Jake and I on the porch, cigarettes shared. The glow illuminating faces etched with defeat. Why'd you take the fall back then? He asked. Voice small. 'Cause you're my brother. And Dad said you'd crumble without me. Smoke curled skyward. mingling with fog off the BNSF tracks. But this? Stealing my future, then framing me? That's not blood. That's poison. He nodded slow, tears carving tracks in grime. I know. Let me fix it. Feds need corroboration, your word. The ledgers. We bury Vic. Get the estate unfrozen. Your share intact.
Tempting.
The American dream. Redemption arc. Credits roll. But trust? Shattered mosaic. Prove it first. Call your handler, set a meet. Dawn meeting at a Denny's in Oak Lawn. Neutral ground amid grand slams and bottomless Joe. Jake's Fed was a no-nonsense type. Agent Reyes. Latina firebrand in a pantsuit. Badge gleaming like justice porn. She grilled us separate. Me in a booth reeking of syrup. Spinning a sanitized tale, look out only.
Coerced.
No mention of my plants or the Glock. Reyes bought it. Or pretended. Sliding papers for signature. This closes the heist.
Hawthorne.
Clean slate. But Russo's crew? They're fracturing, internal hits. Stay low. Relief washed. Tentative as spring thaw. Back at the bungalow. We gathered Family Powwow 2.0. Sam's lawyer. Dad arrived unannounced. Truck rumbling up. Face haggard under the porch light. Heard from the boys at the site. Cops crawling. What's the goddamn mess? Truth dump. Jake's skim. Vic's threats. The rat out. Dad absorbed it stone-faced. Then cracked, fists on the rail. Roar echoing. I built this for you idiots. And you repay with mob shit. He rounded on Jake. Backhand connecting sharp. First violence I'd seen from the old man sober.
Out.
Both of you. Firm's done if this leaks. Mom wailed. Emily mediated. But the fracture was seismic. Dad stormed off. Keys jangling. Leaving us in the wreckage. He's right, I said. Voice hollow. We're toxic. Not over.
Though.
Tommy's ping that afternoon. Russo's nephew flipped, singing about a hit on your old man. Retaliation for the bust. Heart seized.
Dad.
Driving blind with rage? We piled into Emily's Prius, me shotgun. Glock stashed, tires screaming toward the firm in Justice. Illinois. Radio crackled cop chatter. Single vehicle rollover. 294. My blood turned to ice. Arrived to yellow tape. Dad's truck accordioned against a guardrail. Jaws of life, whining. He survived broken ribs. Concussion, but the look in his eyes from the stretcher? Accusation pure. Hospital vigils stretched endless. Beeps.
Bleach.
Bad coffee. Jake paced. Mom prayed. Emily charted.
Me?
I slipped out. Drove to Little Village under cover of dusk. The warehouse loomed. Vic's empire crumbling. But stragglers lurked. I needed insurance. The nephew's address from Tommy. A walk-up in Pilsen smelling of chorizo and fear. Door kick entry. Nephew cowering, tattooed kid. Eyes wide. What the? Insurance. Zip tied him. Phone to ear. Live feed to Reyes. Your boss ordered a hit on my father. Testify. Or this goes viral. Your face on every cartel board. He babbled compliance. Mic'd up by midnight. Feds swarmed. Arrests cascading like dominoes. Victory?
Pyrrhic.
Back at the ICU. Dad rasped awake. First words. Forgive. But never forget. The polarization hit then. Jake the villain redeemed? Or perpetual snake? Emily the savior? or opportunist, as tubes gurgled. I wondered if revenge had mended or merely mangled us deeper. The Hawthorne family reunion, if you could call it that, unfolded in the sterile purgatory of Advocate Christ Medical Center, fluorescent hum underscoring the unspoken verdicts. Dad lay propped in his bed, morphine-dazed eyes flicking between us like he was tallying sins. Jake hovered by the window, casting shadows long as his regrets. Mom fussed with Jell-O cups. Denial her shield. Emily reviewed charts at the foot. Clinical armor intact.
Me?
Leaning against the wall, Glock traded for a styrofoam of lukewarm sludge, feeling like the odd man out in my own blood. Reyes had swept in earlier, crisp as a fresh warrant, cuffing the narrative tight. Vic's empire dismantled. Nephew's testimonies sealing indictments. Your tip closed it.
Hawthorne, she said to me,
ignoring Jake's fidget. Case sealed, heist, scum, all buried. Estate disperses next week. For Will. My share, intact. $500,000 wired. Minus the adjustments, now evaporated under federal freeze. Cheers, restrained. Dad grunted approval. Fist weak on the rail.
Good.
Firm needs you.
Done.
Rebuild. As if concrete could patch the chasms. But the real drama brewed in the silences. Jake cornered me in the hallway vending nook, quarters jingling like loose change for his soul. I meant it, bro. Clean slate. I'll sign over my cut, hell. The Beamer. Start fresh. Skepticism soured my gut. Fresh, after framing me for life. His flinch was genuine. Or rehearsed, hard to tell with actors. I was cornered. Vic had dirt, photos from the heist. Real ones. Me pulling trigger. You look out. Feds dangled the immunity, I bit. He raked hands through hair, thinning now with stress. But I hedged, told him you were coerced. Minor role. Kept your name cleanish.
Ish.
American justice, shades of gray, priced by plea. And the inheritance grab? Dad's idea. Blamed the firm's bleed. Said you'd understand. Lie detector flatlined. But proof? Emily's earlier hack into Dad's emails confirmed. Jake's nudges. Mom's eager forwards. Puppet master pulling strings from the green room. Emily joined us then. Scrubs whispering judgment. Therapy. All of you. Or it'll metastasize. Doctor speak for you're fucked. She pulled me aside later. In the chapel, ironic sanctuary. Stained glass saints staring down. Jake's lying about the photos. He checked the dials, no visuals. Just ballistics. He's buying time. Twist layered on twist. You're doing? She shook head.
No. But I.
Accelerated the Fed tip. After the meeting, I couldn't stomach it. Hired a PI or Tommy, actually to dig Vic. Wanted leverage to force the estate fair. Confession hung. Polarizing. Hero or meddler.
Hurt.
Confused. We hugged awkward. Siblings in the ruins. Discharge day brought the bomb. Hargrove's call. Voice oily. Complications. Mr.
Hawthorne.
Federal lien on the estate. Russo's assets tangled. Disbursement delayed. Indefinitely. Rage reignited. White hot. Back at the bungalow. Repaired hasty. Windows taped like wounds, we convened.
Dad.
Bandaged and bitter. Presided from his recliner. Government screwing us. Again. Jake pounced. Let me handle. Contacts in the loop, lobbyists. Can grease it. No. I cut in. You've handled enough. The room tensed. Air crackling. Mom's eyes pleaded. Emily's narrowed. Dad? Silent arbiter. Then what?
Done?
Sit pretty while we starve. Jake's voice rose.
Ugly.
You think you're saint? Covering the heist. That was your choice. My choice. I lunged. Collar and fist. Dad's shout halting the swing. You pulled me in, then hung me out. 5 years.
Jake.
For your future. He shoved back.
Wild.
And I paid. Guilt every day. Why'd you think I skimmed?
To fund the PI.
Bury the file for good. Stunned silence. Emily broke it. Proof? Jake deflated, pulling a flash drive from his pocket. The same I'd smashed? No.
Twin.
Hired hack in college. Deep-faked alternates. Real footage is gone. Destroyed post-heist. But the guilt.
Yeah.
Polarization peaked. Forgive the flawed brother. Or condemn the chronic liar. Mom wept. Dad deliberated. Enough, he rasped. Dan leads the firm now. Jake. Rehab, court-mandated. Emily. Consult if you want. But no more secrets. Not a dissent. Uneasy alliance. I dove into the rebuild. Bids on green energy renos. The crew rallied with bonuses for my savings. Nights. Though. Paranoia gnawed. Anonymous texts. Blood debt unpaid. Vic's remnants? Or Jake's ghost. Climax brewed 2 weeks later. Estate hearing in Cook County Courthouse. Marble halls echoing like tombs. Hargrove droned legalese. Feds rep, a smug prick in Brooks Brothers, arguing lien extension. My testimony, measured. Damning Vic's coercion. My coerced role. Jake's followed. Broken, admitting the skim. Begging mercy for family. Judge, a grizzled black woman with no patience for drama, ruled swift, lien partial. Estate split 60/40ths my favor. Jake's portion escrow for restitution. Cheers muted. Victory tasted ash. But the drop, post-hearing. Parking garage shadows. Jake waiting by my truck. Proud of you. Bro. Hug brotherly, then his whisper. Vic's out on bail. Coming for the loose end. You. Knife twist. He'd cut a side deal. Trading my head for his safety? Or warning? As taillights faded, a black SUV prowled the ramp. Vic's mark. Engine roared. I floored it. Weaving downtown chaos. Bullets pinging fender. Sirens converged. Emily's 911. Prescient. Crash into a hydrant. SUV fleeing. Me unscathed but shaking. Feds nabbed Vic blocks away. Bail revoked.
Jake?
Vanished. Note on my dash. Had to run.
Keep the share.
Sorry for real.
Gone.
Betrayal's echo. Or sacrifice. The family splintered further. Mom to Florida with Dad. Emily back west. Me alone in the firm. Hammering futures from splinters. Revenge?
Hollow win.
But as winter gripped Chicago, snow blanketing sins, I wondered, was the debt paid? Or just deferred? Winter clamped Chicago like a vice. The wind off the lake howling dirges for the fallen. The firm, now Hawthorne Renovations, my name etched bold on the trailer, chugged forward. Green retrofits landing contracts from eco-conscious burbs. Crews respected the grind. Whispers of Dan's steady replacing old man's folly. $300,000 from the estate burned a hole post-taxes and liens. Enough for upgrades, new trucks, payroll bumps. even a down payment on a modest Logan Square row house. Stability, that elusive American ghost, flickered close. But ghosts lingered. Jake's vanishing act left craters, Mom's calls laced with "Where's your brother?" Dad's grunts over poker nights, masking worry. Emily checked in weekly. Voice clipped. Therapy's bullshit. But try it. Her gift. A referral to a shrink in Wicker Park. Ex-cop turned head shrinker. I went once. Spilled the heist guts. Left with a script for Zoloft and a bill that stung worse than bars. Vic's trial loomed spring, federal spectacle. Outfit remnants paraded in orange jumpsuits. My subpoena arrived crisp. Reyes prepping me in a coffee shop off Randolph. Stick to coercion. No vigilante shit. I nodded. But the itch gnawed. Jake's warning. The SUV's graze. Loose ends, frayed nerves. Digging resumed. Private eye on retainer, Tommy. Ever loyal. Tracing Jake's trail. Hit sparse, ATM cam in Milwaukee. Burner pings in Detroit. Running scared. Or scheming anew. A postcard arrived, mid-February. Postmarked Toronto. Blood's thicker than exile.
J.
Cryptic olive branch. Or bait. Mom cracked first. Post-Super Bowl binge. Raiding Dad's scotch. Dialing slurred. He called.
Danny.
From a payphone. Said Vic's boys clipped a snitch. Nearly got him. Begging forgiveness. Dad snatched the phone. Hung up. But the seed-rooted family pull. Inexorable. I drove Gary that weekend. Snowdrifts burying the mill skeletons. Old house lot, now a weed-choked empty, whispered memories. Jake teaching me to hotwire a Pinto. Our packed under the mill's shadow. Brothers forever.
Lies.
But laced with truth. Back in the city, I hit a bar in Bridgeport, White Sox haunt. Pabst flowing cheap. Locals swapped tales of outfit hits. One geezer muttering. Russo's kin? Still active. Word is, they're hunting the brother who sang. Adrenaline spiked. Home. I loaded the .38, parole ghost be damned, and staked Vic's old haunt. Now a shuttered chop shop in Canaryville. Midnight vigil. Shadows dancing in sodium haze. Headlights pierced. Black Escalade. Goons disembarking. Duffels heavy. Tailing risky. But I did through Southside veins. Pulse thumping bass. They hit a motel in Pullman. Low-rent dive pulsing with desperation. Peered through blinds. Jake. Bound to a chair. Face swollen. Vic's nephew. Out on technical, lowering with pliers. Interrogation theater. Heart hammered. Save the snake? Or let karma chew? Burst in. Doors splintering. Gun barked warning shots into plaster. Federal backup en route. Bluff. But they bought nephew bolting. Duffel dropped. Jake sagged. Ropes biting.
Dan.
Knew you'd come. Untied him rough. Questions burning. Why here? Trap.
Decoy.
He coughed blood. Grinning weak. Tipped feds myself, your Tommy routed it. Drew him out. Proof in the duffel, recordings. Ledgers, his insurance policy. Compiled post-exile. Sirens wailed true then. Fed swarming. Reyes cuffed the stragglers. Idas wary. You two done playing cowboy? Jake's arrest? Nah. Witness protection chit. His decoy earning leniency. One condition, Reyes said private. He testifies full. Then ghosts for good. Polarization raged internal. Heroes welcome or fool's errand. Back at the row house, mine now. Keys cold. Jake crashed on the couch. Ice back to jaw. We talked dawn. Brutal honest, his addictions, coke-fueled flips. Guilt's grind. The heist as his one big score gone sour. I envied you.
Dan.
Steady.
Pure. Pure.
Laugh bitter. I hated you in the joint, every shank stare, every yard fight. You stole my shot. He nodded. Tears free. Repay?
Can't.
But the firm, my share. Escrow. Yours. Truce sealed over eggs. But fragile. Mom and Dad visited next day. Reconciliation stilted. Hugs. Apologies mumbled. Proud, Dad said. Grip firm on my shoulder. Emily zoomed in. Approving nod. Healing's messy. Trial week scorched. Courthouse frenzy. Press hounds baying. My stand. Calm. Carving Vic's coercion deep. Debts twisted into threats. Family as pawns. Jake's followed. Broken man in suit too big. Detailing the skim spiral. Vic glowered from the dock. Eyes promising hell. But the jury, blue-collar Chicago. No patience for mob myths, convicted swift. Life. No parole. Aftermath. Estate finalized. My coffers flush. Firm boomed. Cruise toasting Hawthorne 2.0. Jake relocated. Witsec anonymity. Vague letters from Seattle. Emily visited summer. Barbecues in the yard. Laughter tentative, but real. Yet tension simmered. One night. Porch beer in hand. A shadow crossed the lawn. Vic's last ghost?
No.
Just wind. But the text came anonymous. Debts eternal. Watch your back. Jake? Or echo. Revenge's wind held on, carrying whispers of what-ifs. Had I avenged? Or merely survived the storm? Summer thawed the scars. Chicago sweltering under a sun that baked sins into the asphalt. Hawthorne renovations hit stride, solar installs on Southside co-ops. Eco-grants flowing like the Chicago River in flood. I moved into the Logan Square row house full. Walls echoing empty, but for the hum of AC and occasional crew beers on the stoop. Stability suited me. Rough-edged, flannel swapped for polos. Zoloft dulling the edges, without erasing the ink. Jake's letters trickled. Postmarks Vancouver. Portland, vague updates. Job and construction. Clean. No return address. Witsec rules. Mom framed one by her Florida condo crucifix. Dad grunted good riddance over weekly calls. His emphysema wheezing longer each time. Emily? She stayed west. But visits warmed. 4th of July grill out. Her handing me a niece-to-be ultrasound pic. Auntie M's claim. Laughter bubbled. Real as the craft IPAs. But the text lingered. Debts eternal. A splinter under skin. Tommy chased ghosts. Burner traced to a Milwaukee dive. But dead end. Vic's remnants? Scattered. Feds claimed. But whispers on ex-con boards painted vendettas eternal. Paranoia became routine. Locks double-checked. Routes varied. .38 in the glove box like a talisman. Fall brought the curveball. Hargrove summons. Office reeking of mothballs and malice. Complication, he drawled. Spectacles perched. Aunt Lydia, Elias's sister, contesting the will. Claims undue influence.
Your.
Activities with Mr. Russo-tainted disbursement. Aunt Lydia, the recluse from Rockford. Bitter spinster who'd ghosted funerals. Her play, tie up the estate in probate hell. Clawback Jake's escrow for family healing fund. Bullshit veiled as piety. On what grounds? Character witnesses. Your brother's testimony.
Your.
Involvement. He slid depositions. Jake's words twisted. My vigilantism highlighted. Polarizing afresh. Who was the villain now? Blood avenger. Or reckless fool? Rage simmered slow. I rallied the clan. Zoom fractured. Faces pixelated. Mom teary. Lydia always hated us. Dad coughing fury. Fight it. Son. Emily strategic. Counter with Vic's coercion docs. Show manipulation. Jake's input? A encrypted email. Use my letters.
Prove di forma.
A court dragged autumn into winter. Motions. Mediations. Lydia's lawyer a slick shark from the Gold Coast. Her stand. The Hawthorns poisoned Elias's legacy with crime. Mine. Measured. Threading the needle. Betrayal's cost. Redemption's arc. We paid. Your honor. In years. In blood. Twist dropped mid-hearing. Jake. Subpoenaed remote. Screen flickering from Portland. But his backdrop? Familiar. Gary Mills' silhouette.
Lie.
Feds later confirmed he'd bolted Witsec, chasing a lead on Lydia's witness, a forger paid to Dr. Elias's codicil, linking her to Vic's skim peripherally. Chaos erupted. Bench sidebar. Lydia blanching. My cross. Why risk it? Aunt? Vic's ghost paying dividends. Her crumble. He promised protection for the family's secret.
A secret?
Grandpa's will hit a codicil. Embezzlement from the firm. Dad's doing. Covered by Elias. Lydia's grudge. Cut out. Now clawing back. Judge ruled decisive. Contest dismissed. Sanctions on Lydia. Estate sealed mine. But the revelation gutted. Dad's theft. The root rot. Confrontation post-verdict. Hospital room. His bed a confessional. For you boys, he rasped. College. The house. Elias knew, forgave. But the will. Insurance. Forgiveness? I walked out. Air crisp with lake frost. Questions churning. Hero or hypocrite? The family patriarch. Burdened like me. Jake surfaced New Year's. Knock at midnight. Snow dusted. Duffel slung. Mary. Bro. Hug fierce. No words needed. He'd torched Witsec for closure. Now clean. NA meetings. Gig economy flips legit. Staying. If you'll have. Debate internal, snake or survivor. I nodded. Couches again. Emily arrived dawn. Champagne popped tentative. Mom and Dad zoomed toasts. Lydia's shadow vanished. But the final twist whispered in the wind. A package. Unmarked. Video cassette. Labeled truth. Player word ancient. The heist. Unedited. Jake pulling trigger. Me look out but freeze frame. A third shadow. Elias himself. Orchestrating from the car. Grandpa's insurance. The big score. Funding the cover-up. Scandal spark. Expose. Shatter idols? Or bury? Preserve the myth? We voted. Family fractured no more. Torch it. Flames danced in the hearth. Ashes to wind. Ending? No tidy bow. Jake co-signed the firm. Emily consulted quarterly. Parents wintered south. Me, a hammer in hand. Building from ruins. Revenge? Delivered. Debated, right or ruin. You decide. Blood binds. But choices carve the chains. As spring greened the city, a text pinged, anonymous. Debt paid.
Zenda? Beek's ghost.
Or Jake's ghostwrite. Laughter echoed mine, free. Finally, in the ambiguity,